In-season routine and preparing for Sunday's opener against Detroit. They did practice yesterday, and that included the newest member of the team, edge rusher Micah Parsons. He's reportedly dealing with a back strain that could lead to him needing a shot to play against the Lions. Meanwhile, the rest of the team still dealing with the results of last week's trade. It's all the Packers sent a pair of first-round picks and Kenny Clark to Dallas for Parsons. Edge rusher Rashawn Gary close to Clark and was left speechless when he heard the news. And while the impact of a friend leaving is tough, Gary does have confidence in the rest of the defensive line to make up for that.
Man, a lot of guys been stepping up. Kobe, KB, we got Stack, we got Dub, a couple young guys that got to pick up. But just stay confident, man. And from joint practices, that's really seen, them take over. From communicating, playing the run, switch positions on spot, understanding the run strengths of the offenses, things like that. Just having those type of plays and seeing them guys have the confidence, giving me more confidence in them.
Packers can be back in the field tomorrow for practice. Detroit turn at the Badgers. They will play their second game of the season on Saturday as Middle Tennessee State visits Camp Randall Stadium.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, after playing 19 games in 18 days, the Brewers getting a much-needed day off today. They'll return to action tomorrow night to face the Phillies. Philadelphia took the opener in the series yesterday, 10-8. Milwaukee's lead in the NL Central stands at 5.5 games. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Bringing a player like this, I hope there's some excitement. There's probably some bittersweet things going on as well because Kenny was such a well-liked guy in our locker room. But these guys want to win. I'm sure there'll be some excitement, but I think our guys will understand why we did this.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's Brian Gutekunst. Last Friday, we listened to that presser, or at least the beginning of it. That kind of remains, I don't want to say the biggest story. That kind of remains the story throughout the week. Let me put it that way. We'll talk about the Brewers. I want to talk some college football tonight. A lot of really compelling and interesting storylines from college football over the last weekend and the last couple of days since we've talked. So I want to get into that. I want to talk Brewers. Like I said, we're going to get into the Monday mailbag. I bookmarked a couple of random topics that I'm going to save for the last 10 minutes of the show. So we have a lot of different things. We're not going to do another full 2 hours on Micah Parsons. We did that last Thursday and last Friday, but it's kind of the theme throughout, right? It's like, oh, what are the Badgers going to do this week at quarterback and left tackle? Oh yeah, and by the way, the Packers got Micah Parsons. Well, the Brewers pitching, it's a little concerning. I don't know. Are we starting to worry about their depth? Well, and the Packers got Micah Parsons. That's kind of just the theme throughout. And you may have, like I did, experienced that this weekend. Maybe you're hanging out with friends or you had a family gathering or something. It's Labor Day. You're with people or you're doing things, and you just pause in your conversation. You're like, yeah, that's right. We got Micah Parsons on the squad now. That's pretty cool. I'm a big fan of that. So I'm finding myself over the last couple of days remembering like, oh yeah, that happened. Kind of the inverse, and we talked about this last Thursday and Friday. Kind of the inverse of losing a playoff game, waking up the next day and it's like, oh yeah, that's right. They blew it to the Buccaneers yesterday. That's right. It's going to be a whole thing this week. So that remains the theme throughout. That's why I put it in the intro. But that's actually not where I want to start tonight. I want to start by talking about college football for just a couple of minutes. But before we get there, my name is Grant Bills. If you're new here, this is the Wisco Sports Show. You can call and text the show. I'd love to take your thoughts on anything. Tonight's going to be a really fun mix, whether it's Brewers or Badgers or Packers or college football. I'm sure we all watched a lot of it this weekend. So all of it's on the table. Anything you want to discuss, I'll take your call. And you can comment on the live stream as well, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the places the show normally is. And the Wisco Sports Zone app is, it's pretty baller. And I know Bill's been mentioning it, and we're still tweaking and fine tuning and adding things to it. But basically what we did, the company for which I work, which has a station in Eau Claire, our affiliate WK2Y, or WAYY, WK2I in La Crosse, and WOZN, our flagship, The Zone here in Madison. All of those stations had individual apps, right? Which is great. But we kind of combined them. So maybe you noticed if you had the WK2I app on your phone or the Zone Madison app on your phone and it updated, I know updates sometimes lag a little bit. but they're all kind of under the same umbrella now. And you can watch Bill's live stream. You can listen and watch Ebo. It's all right there. The podcasts are right there. So it kind of united all of our affiliates a little bit. It's a pretty friggin' sweet app. So you're not chasing different streams and different stations. So if you don't have the app, would 10 out of 10 recommend the Wisco Sports Zone app. Very easy, 100% free, obviously. I want to start with college football. Like I said, I am not someone who spends my summer counting down days until football is back. I'm normally in no rush to get to this time of year because summer is so great. And we talk so much baseball. I feel like we mostly get by without football. We pick at the stories throughout the summer, but for the most part, I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, I'm going to quit this job if I don't have a football game tomorrow. Like, we could talk about other things, but this is probably the best time of year. College football has now started. The NFL is just a couple of days away. We still have baseball. And most importantly, it still feels like summer outside. I went up to visit my parents and see my siblings and some family over the weekend. It was great for 3 days. And then driving back yesterday, the traffic on 94, maybe we can talk about that later. I found myself surrounded by Illinois plates between the Dells and like by Portage. Portage is just, with all due to Mike and Portage, who is one of our fine listeners and callers to the morning show, that's just not, I'm just stuck in bumper to bumper traffic on 94. So I'm driving back down yesterday. I finally get back into Madison proper, and I got all my windows down and I have the air off and I'm listening to Steely Dan driving around. It was just the balls. Like, I love this time of year. It's great. So I am not someone who sits and like my hands shake waiting for football to start. And I am not Zach Heilprin or his like. Complimentary, not derogatory. I'm not like Zach Heilprin. I don't just become a piece of my couch on Saturday and watch every single second of college football. Like, I don't need to watch. Who did Michigan play? I don't even remember. But I'll pick the biggies. And we had a couple biggies this weekend. And it just felt great on Saturday to be able to wake up and throw Big Noon on. I'm a Big Noon guy. If you're a college game day guy, that's fine. Corso had a great moment, so that was really nice. But I was watching Big Noon and going right into Texas and Ohio State. The Arch Manning reaction was very entertaining to follow. Sports media at its best. And by that, I mean kind of sports media at its worst. But that's also when it's at its best, is when it's being irrational and silly and just insane. Arch Manning's I couldn't. The game on Saturday was rather boring. It was 14-7 was the final score. I was more interested and entertained by the reaction. I couldn't stop reading tweets and I couldn't stop watching reaction videos because now everybody's got to post. Yeah, I thought I'd just post, 15 minutes on this game or whatever, or do an emergency reaction podcast, stuff like that. And everyone's losing their mind over Arch Manning. And it's like, hey, I know I'm not an expert in this field. College football is not my main squeeze. Has anyone considered the idea that he's 21? I know these guys, the good ones, make millions of dollars and they drive Lambos, which is brilliant, by the way. The decision makers at Georgia, like, how do we attract players? I don't know. Why don't we give them Lambos? That's not problematic at all. Idiots. But that's college football, right? I know they make millions and we don't view them as children, but 21 is an actual child. Like, that's a child. And it was his first ever big boy start as the guy for the Longhorns, and it was in Columbus. Like, oh my God, he didn't look great. I can't imagine why. And maybe he's not ultimately going to be that good. And maybe he's not going to be a top pick in the draft. It wouldn't be the first time in recent memory that someone who we thought was going to be a top pick didn't end up being a top pick. Like, once upon a time, we thought maybe, his predecessor, Quinn Ewers, never really developed into the guy that some thought he could. But a better example would be Spencer Rattler, right? In Texas's former conference, the Big 12, although Oklahoma went SEC too, didn't they? I can't keep track. I remember today that Cal's in the ACC. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about some of these crazy realignments. But like Spencer Rattler, once upon a time, it's like, that's the guy. And not only was he not the guy, like he became less of a guy than even like the biggest Spencer Rattler people thought possible, right? So I can't imagine why Arch Manning at age 21 in his first ever appearance, but the reaction, was insane. It was people yelling about how generational could he be? It's like, well, who was calling him You guys take all this sports media stuff way too seriously. It's like, I heard someone on Get Up calling him a generational prospect. Okay, well, sorry you heard that on Get Up, man, but like we can watch a couple games before throwing the G word around. And then a lot of takes were like, I heard Cowherd hitting this one over the weekend and yesterday too. It's like, well, Matt Patricia, he's a defensive mastermind. It's like, well, I remember when Matt Patricia was a dope and like Belichick's footstool. So now he's great. Arch Manning, one bad game at age 21. He's awful. He'll never be. Okay. But again, fun to follow, fun to watch, fun to listen to, just to spectate what the college football talking heads and what sports media people are saying. This is actually my favorite moment from Saturday. It was Dave Portnoy on Big Noon Kickoff. Now, I'm not someone who stands Dave Portnoy. I like the part in my take, guys. I don't really know Barstool that well. outside of those guys. It's not that I don't like them. It's just I don't really listen. I loved this from Portnoy on the pregame show. This is 90 seconds, not even. This is 80 seconds here, 70 seconds on Dave Portnoy making his pick, but in doing so, like giving a great Big Ten SEC rant. This is one of my favorite dynamics currently in college football, and maybe the most important one, right? Big Ten versus SEC, both conferences bulking up. Fox versus ESPN, the networks that hold the rights to these, ever-growing super conferences that are probably just going to get bigger and bigger. This is Portnoy. This is my favorite thing from Saturday.
Right now. Yeah, and that's a side note of this game. First of all, you guys look great inside the stadium. I wish I could be there. We all know why I'm still stuck out here. Anyways.
So actually, that's the one thing I don't need. I don't need sports commentators like making themselves a part of the. I don't need that. Like Stephen A., walking in with the fits and like interacting with players. I just talk about the game. I don't need you to be a part of the thing, but whatever. Let's look past that because the rest of the rant's really good.
To this game, SEC versus Big Ten. I grew up in an era, it was Alabama, it was Georgia, it was LSU. People wrote in SEC team as the national champion before the season started. That has all shifted. My friends in Columbus know it. Started with Michigan winning the national championship last year. Ohio State this past year. Ohio State killed Tennessee, basically made them quit. Then they beat Texas. Michigan's beaten Alabama the last 2 years. Out in the Midwest, this means something. I'm so sick of hearing about the SEC. Last year in the bowls, the Big Ten was 5-1 against the SEC teams. Yet you still hear SEC this, SEC that, better down south. No, Midwestern football. We like a good punt in Iowa. We respect 3 yards up the middle. The Big Ten is back in charge. Man football. And along those lines, these people may be surprised. I'm taking the Buckeyes today. I think now they cheer for me. I think Buckeyes take the horns down and bring another win for the Big Ten. So it's Big Ten country, Big Ten football taking back center earth here. And that's what we need. There's nothing like cold weather, Midwestern, Big Ten man football.
I would tend to agree. One day I hope Wisconsin can be a participant in that sometime soon. We'll see. Maybe we'll talk more Badgers as the show goes along. I like that moment. And one of the things that interests me most about college football right now is the growing presences of the Big Ten, the SEC, and the networks that are backing them and the coverages that those networks are building. So maybe a little sports media nerdish, but also if you like the sport, I think that's at the top of the list of the things that matter right now, the two growing conferences and the money from those television networks and how that plays a role and how that impacts the rest of the sport at large. Another game that I was interested in, I think a lot of us watched last night, UNC TCU is a real treat. Okay. For me, sometimes it's more about the television product. It's not that the game is secondary. I'm turning on the television to watch the game, but I'm not watching a college football game on a Monday night. It's like, well, Grant, you gotta watch this. Their offensive coordinator, the scheme he runs. Okay, that's good for that coach and that program. I don't care. It's Monday night. Like, give me a reason to watch. Give me a media event, right? Give me something that will give me FOMO, fear of missing out. If I don't watch, like if I don't watch this thing, give me something that's going to make me feel like an idiot tomorrow for having missed it. Right. And that was last night. Lawrence Taylor and Michael, everyone was there and the stadium was all decorated. There were balloons behind the press conference days, which was absolutely hilarious because they got pounded. And then Bill Belichick had to go stand up there and it looked like a wedding expo was also using the space. And Bill Belichick just had to give a press conference after his team got absolutely smoked by a couple of dozen points. I don't even remember what the final score turned out to be. They were getting blasted, right? Belichick has 70 new players. He's dating a 20-something-year-old. How is Jordan Hudson? I don't know how old she is, which, by the way, people are being weird about. Like, yes, it's weird that his girlfriend is that young, but it's also weird when people, like, with all due, I think Zach Gelb is at some point still on some of these stations. I know they're shifting the Infinity. I know when Bart Winkler's on, baby. That's all I know. I know they're shifting the time slots around, but I saw Zach Gelb tweeting things last night where it's like, what did he tweet? He said, and with that, Jordan Hudson has entered the transfer play. It's like, this is weird. Just leave the girl. You guys seem weirdly too interested in, I know it's weird. The girlfriend is weird. The age gap is weird. You guys are making it more weird. So set that thing to the side. Belichick has 70 new players. He's a little distracted, probably. He brought in a bunch of cronies. Everyone expected way too much from this because everyone's like, well, the ACC's terrible. Well, I don't know. Florida State looked okay. Clemson looks okay. Mike Norvell, Dabo Swinney, those are good coaches. I don't know, like Justin Wilcox at Cal, is that a program like, oh, like Bill Belichick is just supposed to automatically be better than that? I don't know. And also, like the last couple of years in New England kind of showed you that some of the things that are still believed about Bill Belichick by the masses aren't really true. Like people say things, well, Bill Belichick, even if he doesn't have the talent, they're going to be well prepared and they're going to be fundamentally sound. That hasn't been true in like 5 years. The Patriots have been awful and they've been a mess. They weren't they weren't fundamentally so. So all of these things that are said about Bill Belichick, it's like, you guys, this hasn't been true. It hasn't been true for a while. Tom Brady hasn't played New England since 2019, and it just went downhill year after year after year with Belichick there. I think people are expecting way too much of Belichick. And last night, they're down by, 30, 40-something points, and he's got that look on the sideline. Like, that's the guy who's going to go into the locker room and give a speech to a bunch of young men about how this adversity will mold them and shape them. Like, he doesn't have any interest in that. Part of me still believes he doesn't even want to be there, let alone, like, really wrap his arms around a tough situation. It's fascinating. I might not watch another game all year, but I'm very glad that I watched last night. And something that absolutely breaks my heart. I talked about this with, I do a hit on our rock morning show, our network morning show between La Crosse and Eau Claire, Brian and Gene, Rock Mornings. Love Brian and Gene. And we were talking about this morning because Simpson is a Massachusetts guy. He's a Patriots fan. So we were talking about Belichick and he had watched last night. You know what absolutely breaks my heart? It just makes me sad to think about this. I was thinking about this, trying to fall asleep last night. Bill Belichick has all the money. He's got an attractive young girlfriend. If that's something that you would like when you're in your 70s, if you're someone who's like, man, when I'm 75, I would love a 25-year-old piece of tail. Like, well, he's got that. If that's your thing, I hope that that's not everybody's thing, but if it's your thing, he's got that. He's got all the money. He's got all the accomplishments. He could have left New England, not gotten an NFL job, and then gone to his home in Florida. He's got a spot in Jupiter, Florida. He goes down there. Jimmy Johnson does as well. He's got a boat. It's called 8 Rings, I believe, which is funny because he counts the ones that he won as a coordinator because he's if you ever listen to him talk, he's petty like that. He's a real petty man. He holds on to these things. Bill Belichick could be spending his days right now sitting on his boat. Instead of coaching North Carolina last night, this is what he could have been doing. He could have been sitting on his boat, docked in the marina that's taken care of by others, right? He's not like checking the engine. He doesn't have to worry about those things. The boat to him is it's an escape. It's not a responsibility as it is for many of us, who have to winterize the boat and store it. And enough for him. He could have been sitting on his boat last night in the marina as the Florida sun set on the water. He could have been listening to some Jimmy Buffett, eating ceviche or fish tacos, drinking a Corona, recovering from a long day of fishing. Like, that's what he could be doing right now. And that's my dream. And what I've learned and what I learned last night watching this and thinking about this is it's awful to watch another man live out your dream. No one likes that. What I've found is it's even worse to watch another man have the opportunity to live out your dream and say no thank you and to waste that dream. And I can't believe he's doing this. It's incredibly compelling theater. There's no other way that game would have been on TV last night. There's certainly not a chance that if it was on TV, I would have watched it. But it makes me sick to my stomach, man. He could be eating chips and salsa, watching the Florida sun go down. He could have been listening to Tin Cup Chalice, hanging out with his other friends. Jordan Hudson could still be there if he wanted. Like, he could still have a very attractive young lady if he wished. And he could spend his days fishing and golfing, and he's choosing not to do that. And again, it sucks to watch someone else live out your dream. This is even worse for me because Bill Belichick has my dream in his hand, and he's going, no, thank you. I would rather pretend that I want to coach a bunch of 20-year-olds. Which is just bizarre. So that's a little reaction to the college football weekend. I don't often lead with college football. So if you're a big college football fan, there you go. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the Badgers on the other side. We had some news today. Luke Fickell with some announcements about the injury to Billy Edwards Jr. Doesn't seem like he's going to play this weekend. So we can maybe talk about that if that's on your mind. Their offensive line situation. Otherwise, Micah Parsons is kind of going to be a theme throughout. So that's on the table as well. I'll get to your phone calls on anything from the weekend. The Brewers, that's an option as well. We're going to get to them before too long. 608-321-1670. Back in just a couple of minutes.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Well, it was suggested to me to lead off with the quarterback so he wouldn't ask any questions. So I would say, don't believe that Billy will be playing. He didn't practice. So obviously Danny would be the guy we would go with and Hunter would be the backup. And we would just proceed from there.
That's Luke Fickell earlier today. And I think the microphone cut out for a little second. And he kept talking for like another 2 minutes on this. It's just like, all right, so give me the prognosis, Doc. So Billy Edwards Jr. not going to play this weekend. It'll be Danny O'Neal against Middle Tennessee, right? So that's the latest. Maybe some shuffling along the O-line, although they didn't give any specifics, and the depth chart remained unchanged. I'm very interested to see if there's any maneuvering, especially at left tackle. I know that they're already playing a man down there because the guy who's been playing is a replacement for the guy who got hurt. That situation was just so bad against Miami, Ohio, and that's not some powerhouse defensive front. So they have some things to figure out, certainly first and foremost at quarterback, but then I think they need to probably make some adjustments or simply get better on the O-line because what they did against Miami, Ohio a week ago Thursday is just not good enough. So we look forward to Middle Tennessee. I talked a little bit about that, gave you my reaction to Arch Manning, Texas, Ohio State, and also North Carolina last night, which was a heck of a media event. I'm glad I watched. I probably won't watch them again this year, but they served their purpose last night. So some opening thoughts on college football, the Brewers and the Packers, also very much on the table if those are the things that you would like to discuss. To some of your phone calls, 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant, it's Big Ron in Jersey.
Hey, Big Ron. What's going on? What's going on up in Jersey?
Well, great Jimmy Buffett Tin Cup Chalice reference. That's a great song.
Big Ron, and I feel like you probably feel the same way. Bill Belichick has the opportunity to live my dream, which is have a boat and have all the money and to just live life slowed down 3 or 4 paces. And he's elected not to do that to have 20-year-olds like ruin his legacy. That's what he's doing. And it stinks. It stinks. Because I'd take his place and do it differently. And it's painful for me to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and I've run into people like this, like that are highly successful and type A personalities, and a lot of times they're just never ever satisfied. Like they can't be satisfied just sitting around on a boat fishing. They have to, the NFL kind of it seemed like, and I could be wrong. This is arguable, but the NFL kind of blackballed him, and nobody wanted him, so he had to go to college. But I think he just wants to prove all those NFL GMs wrong for not hiring him, and we'll give him some time. But also the other comment I wanted to make on your opening comments is I love the new app so much better than the old one.
It's great, isn't it? Oh,
yeah.
yes. And I'm not just saying that
So
because
much
it's
better.
my company. It's great. It has all of our stations. You can pick what you want to listen to. All of our video streams are right there. It's the ball. It's great.
Yeah, it's so much more stable. The old Madison one, which is, I'm out of market, so I had to listen on the Madison app. And it was very unstable. It would drop a lot.
Well, and the thing is about, and I am someone who listens to a lot of radio shows out of market too, Big Ron. So I appreciate you listening and calling. The thing is often there's like a sponsor, like the stream is sponsored by, Tom and Dick's Guns and Ammo. And so if the feed drops out, you have to hear that ad when it starts. So no, the new app is great, and we're still like adding things and tweaking to it. But if you had the Zone Madison app or WK2I or WAYY, now it's kind of all rolled up into one, and you can pick and choose between your shows and your podcasts. It's sweet, and you can watch Bill's stream or my stream right in there. So the same place that you'd be listening, you can also now watch it. It's great. And Big Ron, as a fellow Jimmy Buffett man, I know it's just like, as I said in the opening segment, it sucks to watch another person live out your dream. Even worse is watching another person have the opportunity to live out your dream and say, no, thanks, I'm going to do something else. It's like, well, I'll take your place. Take your shoes off. I'll slip them on. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. It's Coach Freed here.
Hey, Coach Freed. How you doing? Long weekend for you.
Oh, yeah. You know how it goes. But, we got to watch Danny O'Neal sing the pill, so that's kind of where I want to get off here.
Let's do it. Let's talk about Danny O'Neal.
Yeah, we got Billy Heisman out for some time, but I want to talk about people are saying Danny O'Neal's got this moxie, he's got this grit, swagger, whatever you want to call it. But one thing that really stuck out to me, he's utilizing his legs, picking up a first down, and he's wiping his slime nose. When have we ever seen a Badger quarterback do something like that?
That's a good question. I mean, Tolzien did it, but he waited until he was in the NFL to do it against the Vikings. There was that. I don't know, man. There's something there with Danny O'Neal. There's some moxie. There's some swagger. I don't know if he's any good. So moxie doesn't get you very far. That gets you through like a game and a half, maybe. But it's a start.
Reminds me of Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, that's true. He was also good, though. I don't know that O'Neal's good. I don't know.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. I appreciate anything else, Coach?
No, that's all. I just wanted to say Danny O for Heisman.
Danny, I appreciate it, Coach Freed. It's funny because I told Kate, who was in here earlier during Bill's show, and she's like, I don't think Billy Edwards is. We were just talking about the appearances because Kate, she's, Kate. Yeah, Billy Edwards, there's no moxie, there's no swag there. Danny O'Neal might have it. Danny O'Neal, and I'm not making this up, I swear. We talked to Zach about this. We talked to Jesse about this. He had the best showing in Platteville. He had the best showing. A lot of that was against twos, and it's situational, so you're comparing apples and oranges sometimes. But Danny O'Neal did not look bad in camp. It's just when you plan to have one guy be your starter for the third straight year, and then he gets hurt for the third straight year, it's like, you're gonna be behind the eight ball. I think there's something there with Danny O'Neal. There's moxie, there's swagger. I just don't know if he's any good. We'll talk about this with Jesse Temple tomorrow, who I bet Jesse is just so excited to cover another backup quarterback. I bet Jesse is just chomping at the bit these days to do this for a third straight year. Although it doesn't seem like Billy Edwards Jr. will be out too long. He will be out this week. Coach Fickle said earlier today, even if he's back, that's like, hey, welcome back. Yeah, you're at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Good luck against Bama in your first game back. Although maybe Bama's gettable. I watched him this week. Florida State kind of took him to task. 608-321-1670. A couple more of your calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, it's Corey out of Marshall. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Corey. How about you?
Good. So the discussion about Belichick, and I was touching on it real quick. That reminded me of running a blowhard Tony Kornheiser a few years ago that said they should rename the Lombardi Trophy after Belichick.
They did. I believe he did say that. Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's funny. We have an author coming on Thursday with Bill. Gary Myers just wrote a Belichick book, and it's called, what is it? Brady versus Belichick, the Dynasty Debate. I'm sure it'll be a great book, and I'm excited to talk with him and to hear his findings and to learn about the book. I think the debate's been settled, and it's probably been settled now for a couple of years. I think people are waking up to exactly how bad things were with Belichick at New England at the end.
And I did not know he's got a boat down in Jupiter, so I've been down there before. My father-in-law winters down there, so I'm going to tell him to keep a lookout for that boat and harass him while he's going by in his paddleboard. So good stuff. But yeah, the fact you said he's like living the life that I could live. I've been down there before in wintertime, man. I can tell you, fishing from the boat and having ceviche and your toes in the sand, your toes in the water, ass in the sand. It's pretty easy to do. Even at my age, I'm like, I could get into this. This would be fun.
Of course. You just life just
around,
slows down.
Blah, blah.
You have one beer and you're thinking.
Real quick.
What was that? Go ahead. Before
the Badger talk real quick, then I'll let you get going. Okay. My biggest concern with them is the offensive line. I think you've already touched on this. What they really need to do, and watching some of the podcasts afterwards, is think about kicking out that left guard to left tackle. They had thought about doing it. There's concern like, oh, well, they practice all offseason with them there, but you cannot have that, even if it's Danny O'Neal or Russell Wilson back there, because that was one of the biggest reasons that their offense stunk so bad on Thursday night, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, as the last caller said, time will tell. But anyways, I'll let you get to it here, Grant. Go Crew.
Go Crew. We're going to talk about the Brewers after our next break. I appreciate it, Corey. I got some concerns that I must air. One more call, and I'll get to you in a minute. Per PFF and Cam, is it Wilhorn with SI? Sometimes there are new student reporters, new members of the Badgers beat. There's a couple new faces. But yes, Cam Wilhorn, who's with SI. Per PFF, the Badgers allowed 13 quarterback pressures versus Miami, Ohio. The most they allowed last year in a game was 12, and that was versus Oregon. Not exactly the same. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the number. What we all said going into last Thursday night's game was, I want to see if the O-line can impose their will on a lesser opponent. And they didn't really at all. They didn't pass protect, and they didn't you saw some nice flashes from Dylan Jones, Darian Dupree, and Katie Akimelli. There were moments where I'm like, oh yeah, I see why everyone's hyping the running backs. There's some explosion there. There's some elusiveness. Absolutely. But it was all like yards after contact. There were no big lanes. There was no big push. In fact, they were talking on the radio broadcast in the first quarter, this emphasis on misdirection to keep Miami, Ohio's defense guessing. It's like, you should need to keep them guessing. Just push them backwards. You're Wisconsin. They're Miami, Ohio. So we'll pick more at the Badgers throughout the week, and I might actually go to Saturday's game. I'm for sure going to the Zone Blitz pregame bash. That's lock that in. But I got a couple irons in the fire. I might go to the game. Kate, I've also been told, our part-timer, is hosting a party. I am invited. I don't know if I want to go to a college party. Maybe I will go to a college party on Saturday. I don't know. But we'll talk more about the Badgers throughout the week. Jesse Temple tomorrow for sure. But one more call here in the meantime. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Hey, Grant. It's Darnell.
Hey, Darnell. What's up?
Hey, listen, the Badgers, I wasn't really going to call about them at all. But I will say this. Danny O'Neal, he's got like a Chucky Hepburn haircut that I don't know if I can quite get behind, honestly.
That's reasonable.
I need my quarterbacks of my D1 schools to be straight laced.
Okay.
They need to look like frat boys. I think actually Colin Cowherd said it best, that like they have to be, top dog at school. That guy looks kind of like a grungy guy, which isn't a problem. It's just a problem when you're a quarterback.
Well, all these kids, Darnell, these days, they all have the perm and the floppy hair that like falls forward. I mean, part of it is generational. We are slightly older. We're not exactly, we don't know what's cool. You least of all, you're a dad, so don't lecture me on style.
Fair enough. I didn't expect us to have a broccoli head quarterback. You know what I mean?
They're all going to be broccoli head. I mean, look at Arch Manning. Although he didn't exactly play well, so maybe you're onto something.
maybe I'm onto something there. I actually, what I wanted to say was, now maybe kick off your Brewers talk here.
Let's do it.
I was thinking about the season here, and are the Brewers hot weather? Are they reliant upon the hot weather? Because they were really, really hot for the entirety of the summer, or summer merchants, as it were, right? They weren't good in April. They weren't good at the beginning of May. And then as soon as it started getting hot in Wisconsin, Brewers started getting hot. And then we had this weird cool off the last 2 weeks where it's been in like the 60s and 70s. And then the Brewers came down as well. I don't know. I mean, I know that they played their 19 games in 18 days, which we've heard countless times over the last 2 weeks. Like, oh, yeah, the MLB screwed them. And do you remember in 2018 when the Chicago Cubs played 29 games in 28 days?
Yeah, I don't remember that. Did that happen? I put that out of my mind.
Yeah. I mean, that was when the Brewers kind of came back, and, you know, everyone knows how that season ended. So, regular season. So, you know, it's tough. It's tough to play so many games in so many days, but, you know, it's also, you can't make excuses. You got to go out there and play the game, you know?
I know. I do know. I completely agree, Darnell.
I like that Pat Murphy isn't making excuses. That's one thing I'll say. He's not making excuses. Like, we got to play better. Can't, like, as much as that, you know, check swing call kind of went against them and hurt any momentum they had in the ninth inning, you got to flush it, you know? And I think that some of their young guys, like especially Miz, just can't flush the bad stuff.
And I think Uribe can sometimes struggle. That he plays really, really hot and really cold to the point where Contreras will go out sometimes and calm him down, or at least that's how they describe it on the broadcast. No, I'm with you. The stretch has been murder. That absolutely should factor into how we analyze how they've performed. Their pitching staff looks really tired, and a lot of them need breaks, and they need other guys to get healthy. But then Miller goes down yesterday, so that's not going to help matters. We'll talk more about this on the other side. There is a way that the Brewers could get a little bit more rest. There's a way that they could get a little healthier. We'll talk about that on the other side. My Brewers thoughts from the weekend, and I'll continue to take your calls and texts as well.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much more, crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoke. Check it.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
You know, umpires have a hard job. They have a hard job. What I don't like is when they're definitive that they got it right, and then I see what I see after the game, and you can see the barrel's out in front of his front leg. Tell me how the barrel can be in front of his front leg at any moment and it not be a swing. So I'm not, again, that's a tough call from the angle he's at. He does the best he can, and that's all I can say.
It's Pat Murphy yesterday. He got thrown out in the 9th inning if you didn't see it. Check swing, they missed the call. And it was a big call. It led to a run. It should have been a strikeout. The Brewers lost 10-8, and they had the lead multiple times. So while it's frustrating, I don't think it was what decided the game. And I also, and I've told you this before, occasionally I like a bad call thrown into a game because it gives us some theater. It gives us some juice. Football, it's just annoying because nothing happens. Football referees blow a call, we complain and that's it. Baseball, you get fireworks. The manager and there's theatrics and Ricky Weeks like, hold me back. Like that's good. That's good for the product. That should be part of the baseball product. So eventually we're going to lose that because they're going to automate the ball strike thing and the product will be better. And, we'll never have missed calls. We'll have fewer missed calls, but sometimes I like some manager theatrics. Hey, before we really get into the Brewers, the show today presented by In on the River in Trempealeau. InOnTheRiverWI.com, 608-534-7784. I don't know if you've ever had the privilege of driving the Great River Road as the foliage turns. Let me tell you, as someone who went to UW La Crosse, grew up in Northwest Wisconsin, so I would drive up the Minnesota side of the river. Sometimes in Wisconsin, you could do Winona across Cochran, Fountain City, Alma, up that way to Wabasha. I would drive on the Minnesota side just because it's an interstate, a little bit faster. But if you've never enjoyed time on the Great River Road along the River Valley in the fall, it's breathtaking. Not to be dramatic, but it is. Not to mention In on the River right across from the arena, so super easy to bring the boat. You're not navigating some crazy It's right there. It's right across the river. Sullivan Supper Club, a great spot. Walking distance down the street to enjoy after a day out on the water or a day of hiking at Perot State Park and In on the River right in the center of it all. They just redid all the rooms earlier this spring. They just painted the outside. It looks awesome, and it's the perfect spot for your Western Wisconsin giveaway. So give them a call, 608-534-7784. Or if you're terrible at remembering phone numbers like I am, you can go to their Facebook page or go to InOnTheRiverWI.com. However, use those websites, use those links to give them a call because then you can ask them questions. Hey, we're looking to come to town. we had a couple of weekends. Do you have any available? And they'll help you. It's very personable, and they'll set you up in a way that sometimes a website or a Facebook page, sometimes it's nice to talk to another human on the other side of the phone. Okay, so back to the Brewers. Bill earlier today was going through their string of recent series and how they've struggled over the last week or two, whatever sample size. I don't have the number in front of me that they've lost like 8 of 15 or I don't know, but they've been struggling and their pace has slowed down significantly. And Bill asks earlier today, are you panicking? Are you concerned? Are you, whatever word you want to use? I think Brewers fans, you would be naive and a little wrong to say there's no concern at all. There's some things that I'm not concerned about. Like Andrew Vaughn has slowed down. Okay, well, I'm not losing sleep over that. You know what I mean? He's actually hit the ball pretty hard. His swing decisions have wavered a little bit. That happens when a player's pressing, so we'll see if he is a man or a mouse, and he's able to get it back and lock back in and wait for the results to swing around, or if he further spirals and continues to press more and chases more. We'll see. That's kind of the story with him. But no, there's plenty of things in this team that I'm not concerned about. One thing that I absolutely am concerned about is their pitching, and we talked about it last week. Their starting pitching has not been getting them deep into games. And it would be one thing if they were managing Brandon Woodruff or managing Mizorowski and coming to get them in the 4th or the 5th, even though they were pitching well. That hasn't been the case. Woodruff struggled his last couple of outings. Not all his fault, but he hasn't exactly been dominant either. Mizorowski has struggled, not in a way that most pitchers struggle. He'll be cruising through 3 or 4 innings, and then he'll just blow up and turn into a crater on the mound. So there's that they got to deal with. And then they've had injuries to both their starting rotation and their depth of starting rotation. Like now they don't have Logan Henderson, so that's going to be a whole thing. McGill has gotten hurt. It's a lot of games in not a lot of days. What is it, 19 and 18? Darnell brought that up when he called last segment. That sounds about right. So they get an off day today. One off day isn't going to save them, but I think it's a much-needed breather. I think you're really seeing the fatigue in the bullpen in the form of injuries to somebody like McGill, but also to a player like Mears or Uribe. They're not missing bats. Like Mears is getting guys out, but it's fly balls. Uribe's been able to get guys out. He couldn't do it yesterday. He gave up 2 earned runs. Bad call. Yes, I understand. We saw this earlier on in the year. Elite relievers drop down a step and they can't miss bats when they're tired and when they're fatigued and when they're worked really hard. And Miller getting hurt yesterday is only going to exacerbate that. If McGill comes back and is able to actually go and pitch normally, that'll be a huge deal. I just worry, and I wonder how hard the Brewers push to get this first round bye and how hard they push for the 1 seed, because they're a team that could really use a couple of days off. Imagine what 4 or 5 days off could do for this club and their pitchers that have been worked so hard. So do we push hard and work our players harder for a possible reward, or do we pull back and try to keep everyone healthy? Their approach over the next couple of weeks is certainly going to be interesting, as they still have the best record in baseball, and the 1 seed is very much on the table. They're a team that could use it. They're a team that could use a bye because their arms need rest more than just 1 day off, although today is a really good start, and I'm not minimizing how much they need today. 608-321-1670, a couple calls here before our last break of the hour. Wisco Sports Show, who's this?
Grant, I love you kind of getting into the 3 C's of the Milwaukee Brewers on a bye day. That's always a good topic.
Confident, concerned, and what's the other one again? I can never remember these.
Curious.
Curious. That's right. Okay, yes. Well, it's a sports radio staple, Cone.
Yeah, and at some point these pitchers just got to grow up a little bit. And I'm looking at you specifically, Jacob Mizorowski. I get you're an all-star, you're young, you're a phenom, but you get a little rattled and you just can't throw a strike? Grow up.
Yeah. Yep. A little bit. And a lot of people said, well, should they move Miz to the pen? And this is something I was going to bring up and I forgot. Well, should they move Miz to the pen? They can't. They're starting Eric Fetty. Well, actually, they're not. They're opening with Ashby and pitching Eric Fetty as a starter. They can't move Mizorowski to the pen right now. They need him. Now, in a month, maybe, but I've been a little frustrated with, I don't know, the maturity and performance. I didn't watch his post-game presser yesterday. I know some people have been turned off by those. I didn't watch it, so I can't speak to that. But I'm with you, Cone. This team needs you now. Let's forget about, the throwing 103 and making an all-star game, and let's just focus on making quality starts and helping your team win games, because they need length, and he is not providing it.
Yeah, and, it's cool he's opening up Pokemon cards, but, again, you're a grown man. Shouldn't you be investing in your 401k?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. And not
what are we doing here? And then
Yeah.
Biggest loser of the weekend, the Brewers or Kirk Herbstreit? He's getting slandered these days.
For the dog?
For his dog, he got caught on the hot mic yesterday. I mean, and he's vehemently denying it. He's got people in the booth chiming in saying that, oh yeah, this is what Kirk actually meant. So hot mics don't lie though.
No, they don't. Just ask Tom Brenneman. Appreciate it, Cone. Here's what I don't get about Kirk Herbstreit. He's a great analyst. He's a little, I look at him and I'm like, there's something under the surface that's like, I don't believe in lizard people. But there's some, like, I don't know. There's something behind those eyes where it's like, you seem a little dead under. Like, there's something with him. Outstanding analyst. I don't care about the dog. A lot of people get mad about the dog. You get caught on a hot mic. I don't really care about that. There's something there where it's like you talk and smile and look like you're programmed. It's something like that whole uncanny valley thing where it's like I see you and there's something that's triggered in my brain where it's like something ain't right there. I don't know. That's 60 seconds on Kirk Herbstreit. One more call here, then I'll final break of the hour. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
The only Colorado Rockies fan in all of Wisconsin.
Hey, Dean. Or Scott. Scott in La Crosse. Sorry, Scott. How you doing?
That's right. Last time we spoke, a few weeks ago when you were on Bill's show, I said my hope for the Rockies were at least to get to 42 wins. They are sitting at 39. Do you think they can get at least 3 more in this month of September?
Scott, I hope to God they better. Yes.
That's like me too.
Do they want? Do they not? Scott, I appreciate it. I'm not going to do 5 minutes of Rockies with you right now. We'll do it another time. They need to go into the offseason with some momentum. Don't you think? That's my Rockies take for you, Scott. I want to break now because I'm going to crack open the Monday mailbag on the other side. There's a couple things in there. I want to do it now. We were off yesterday, and at 5:50, I actually have some other things that I want to talk about. So I'm going to answer your questions in the Monday mailbag next at 608-321-1670. Actually, that's the phone number. The email is grantbills21@gmail.com. We will crack that sumbitch open on the other side and wrap up hour number 1 of the show.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Because the mail never stops.
Charles, we'll be writing to you. Ah, She's Got Mail. That's the name of the movie.
That's it, honey. There's never a let up. It's relentless. Every day it piles up more and more and more. And you got to get it up. And the more you get out, the more it keeps coming in.
The Monday mailbag on a Tuesday and an hour early because at 5:50, I have a couple things that I want to hit on. A couple things that I bookmarked from the weekend where I'm like, I think that would make good show fodder. So at 5 o'clock, we can reset the show. We'll get an update from Zach, reset the show with the latest on Micah Parsons, some Packers thoughts, and the Brewers, and college football kind of mixed throughout. But at the very end, I got 10 minutes. I got a couple things, Wisconsin kind of centric that I want to discuss. But first, a couple questions. Grant Bills, 21@gmail.com. Tyler in Mass, a frequent question asker. Thank you for participating, Tyler. Says, hi, Grant, what is the most random thing that you can't live without? There's probably a lot of things. First thing that came to mind was a white noise machine. I travel with the thing. I use it every night. Sometimes I forget it's on. I'll lay in bed in the morning on my phone on a Saturday for an hour scrolling Twitter only to remember, oh yeah, I should probably turn that thing off. I can't live without it. Now, a fan could do the trick in a pinch. I just prefer, I'm a digital man in a digital age. Like when I go camping or something, like I can hear the inside of my body when I'm trying to sleep. I can't do that. So white noise machine. Thank you for the question, Tyler. Tom says, who plays more snaps this season? He gave me a couple. Bo Melton or Jair? I'll go Bo Melton because I feel like he's going to play special teams, and Jair is questionable for week 1 already. Aaron Rodgers or Jordan Love? I would say Jordan Love, but I don't know. Jordan Love's been banged up a little bit more over the last year than Aaron Rodgers. Don't aggregate me like ESPN Milwaukee about that Jordan Love is injury prone take. That wasn't a bad take. It was executed horribly, but I think they, sometimes you do things by design to get some clicks. It's good station, good business, nothing against them. I see what they're doing. There was Jordan Love kind of has been hurt a lot. There was a segment there. I would have done it differently, but different shows for different bros. And the last one from Teacher Tom, Lucas Van Ness or Nazir Stackhouse. They need interior run stuffers more than they need edge rushers now. Their depth chart is out, and it's Gary and it's Parsons. I feel like that one will probably be Lucas Van Ness, but it might be closer than you would think. Eric says, Grant, what's better, a cold beer after a long week or a short day due to a holiday, a short week? Less work is good. Although I love my job. Don't get me wrong. So short week. Are you kidding me? It's Tuesday today. How great did a 3-day weekend feel? Holy crap. So I'll go short week. Matt emails in, says, I blew on my flip-flop on Labor Day yesterday. If this isn't a sign from Jimmy, I don't know what is. Fins up. Yeah, Matt in Chippewa Falls. I appreciate that. I did listen to some Buffett this weekend. I tell you what, on the shoe front, this is the first day that I've not worn a walking boot to, I almost said school. I haven't worn it to school. I haven't been in school in 5 years. This is the first day I haven't worn my walking boot to work. This is the first, I got my white Adidas here. I have it off just because it feels kind of, my foot's still just enough swollen where I can feel it. Plus these shoes are a little smaller. I got them at Goodwill. They don't fit perfectly, but I like them. I feel incredible today. I feel like I could high jump over 6 feet right now. I feel nimble. I feel thin and fast, not lugging around a boot on my foot anymore. So on the topic of blowing out a flip-flop, today was the first time that I've worn a shoe on my left foot that isn't a walking boot or a Croc in like 2 months. Pretty good feeling. That might be a sign from Jimmy as well. So I appreciate all the questions. At 5:50, I bookmarked a couple of the types of things that will get discussed in the mailbag. I'm just going to ask and answer my own questions or bring my own prompts to the table and discuss them without your participation. Just a couple things that I bookmarked over the weekend. But when we come back, any more thoughts on the Brewers? We can do that. We haven't even touched on the Packers and Micah Parsons. An amazing moment from Bill's show earlier today that I want to play for you. And any further thoughts on college football or the Badgers, we can continue to do that as well. It's the Wisco Sports Show. We'll be back in 2 minutes. A quick update from Zach Hopper. No commercials, just the latest in Wisconsin sports. And we'll be right back with Hour 2 on the other side.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers are getting a day off for the first time in nearly 3 weeks. Milwaukee just finished playing 19 games over the last 18 days, including a 10-8 loss to the Phillies yesterday that saw them unable to hold leads of 4-0 and 5-1. Pitcher Jacob Mizorowski admitted today is much needed.
Everyone needs it. I think it's just, it was a grind going through these, 19 games, right? Something like that. So it's, it's a long stretch, and, everyone's going to enjoy the off day.
Despite back-to-back losses, Milwaukee's lead in the NL Central stands at 5.5 games on the Cubs with 23 to play. They are also 4.5 games up on the Phillies for the best record in the National League. Mizorowski looking forward to the final few weeks.
Yeah, I think we're in a good spot. We're hitting, but, I think it's going to be fun to watch. And, in the locker room, it's going to be a lot of fun being in here.
Again, Brewers are off today. They'll be back on the field tomorrow night against the Phillies at American Family Field.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
You may know Rural Mutual Insurance as the #1 farm insurer. But did you know they also offer competitive home, auto, business, and life insurance? They make it convenient to bundle your insurance while saving you time and money. Visit ruralmutual.com to learn more.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers are into their normal week routine, which means a day off today. Back on the field for practice tomorrow as they prep for Sunday's season opener against Detroit. Green Bay expecting to have new addition Micah Parsons available against the Lions, though he is dealing with a sprained back. Reports surfaced yesterday that he may need a shot to be able to play. And Wisconsin also gearing up for its second game as they will take on Middle Tennessee State on Saturday at Camp Randall. Badgers favored by 28.5. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Bringing a player like this, I hope there's some excitement. There's probably some bittersweet things going on as well because Kenny was such a well-liked guy in our locker room. But these guys want to win. I'm sure there'll be some excitement, but I think our guys will understand why we did this.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, the Wisco Sports Show, presented by Road America. We're day behind, so the Monday mailbag on Tuesday. I tried to think of something with alliteration, like the Tuesday. Well, there's nothing there. If there was, I would have thought of it earlier. But so we did the Monday mailbag a little bit early. I have some Wisconsin things I want to discuss in about 50 minutes, 45 minutes, something like that. So lots of time. In the meantime, to take your calls, we can continue to talk about the Brewers. We haven't even touched the Packers yet. I actually led with some college football today. Pretty proud of myself. To my delight, by the way, I opened the show with about 25 minutes on Texas, Ohio State, UNC, TCU last night, and then some thoughts on Wisconsin. We took some calls. I never lead with college football. And right before I took my second break of the show, I see my phone light up and I see Zach Heilprin. I got a text and I go, oh God, what is Zach about to yell at? What is he about to scold me for? What have I said? Well, actually, what I thought first is, oh, that's nice. Zach is listening to the show. And then I thought, what is he mad about? I obviously said something that he thinks is stupid, and it was unrelated. So what a nice surprise. I was expecting not that Zach, you know Zach. I don't need to explain this to you. He keeps a tight leash, what he allows me, to get away with on the show, at least with college football. I can rant about the Brewers and say ridiculous things. He doesn't care, but he'll call me on my college football takes. So that's what was discussed in hour number 1. We got 2 callers on hold. I'm going to go to you guys, and then we'll kind of branch off of that. So if you want to stick with the Brewers, that's fine. But if we want to go back to football, that works as well. 608-321-1670, Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
The Bronze Boomer.
Hey, what's going on, Pete?
Well, first of all, I have to say the one thing I can't do without is WOZN Sports Talk Radio. And when there's a best of show or dead air or a repeat, it's kind of like, The Walking Dead for me.
Yeah, it's not the best. Ebo's, I got in this morning. I was so excited to see Ebo because I'm finally out of this walking boot. And I was going to have a great moment. He was going to be like, hey. And then I remembered that he's on vacation for a couple of more days.
I know you don't want to talk about the Badgers, but
that's fine. We've been talking college football tonight, Pete. Let's do it.
Okay. Fickle getting fired, that's inevitable. If he makes it through the year, okay. I don't see him. I don't see him making it through this year, or especially next year. But since he's got a big buyout, the only way that they can buy him out, or they have to get another coach who's also getting paid from another team.
Yep.
And I've got the perfect, scenario.
Who's
the
that?
coach at Alabama, is it DeBoer?
Yeah,
Is that
Kalen
his name?
DeBoer. Yep.
Right. He is a really good coach. He won it at Washington. He was really good. When he took that job at Alabama, I said, you're going to regret it. These people have, they're spoiled. They have no patience. They're spoiled. They're entitled. So, he's a $10 million a year coach.
Mm-hmm.
So his buyout's enormous. So what would happen is if they said just go away, we'll get somebody else, but they still have to pay him. Wisconsin could get DeBoer, they would pay his salary, and then Wisconsin could still pay Fickell his buyout. And we not only will we get a better coach, but we do better in the salary exchange. So I think if it was me, that's what I do. I mean, and I don't know if Fickell's a good or bad coach. I know he hasn't been a really good recruiter, or whatever it takes to be a good recruiter these days. The proof's in the pudding.
And what's frustrating, Pete, is he's actually gotten good recruiting classes consistently. That talent is getting lost, or it's not being deployed, and there's been bad luck with quarterbacks. Like it's. The reason that Luke Fickell hasn't succeeded yet is there's no simple explanation. I think a big part of it is the hiring of Phil Longo. I think that was a big problem the last 2 years. I don't think it's been recruiting. I actually think that's been the one thing. And Pete, look, I'm not an expert, and we got to get to some other callers. I'm not an expert, but I listen to people who are. I think our network is, I said this last week, it's like our Badgers coverage, we're really lucky because we have Zach and we have Jesse who are constantly coming on our shows. And then you can listen to the camp as well, which, by the way, is on the Sports Zone app, the Wisco Sports Zone. So another plug for that thing, download it. Like, that's who I go to. Those are my resources. And they consistently remind me the recruiting classes have been good. The talent's been good. So I'm not arguing. It's not making it to the field. It's not being translated into results. Part of that is the current state of college football. The thing is, like, the quarterback keeps getting hurt. And now the left tackle is hurt. And the guy they're playing at least through 1 week sucked. He sucks swamp ass against a pass rush that's probably not on the level of some of their actual Big Ten competitors. Those really important games that'll come later this year into the month of October and into November as well. So when you say that I don't know if Luke Fickell's a good coach or not. I think there's lots of things that have gone wrong for him, and some of them are out of his control. I think in the biggest of big pictures, taking over 2 years to realize that, the Big Ten is a physical league. We need size and strength and a play style that will compete in that environment. Now I think he's understood it 2 years too late. We have yet to learn whether or not he has shown that he can actually build a team to fit that. He's got the right idea now. Now I'm questioning whether or not he can actually act on that idea. The returns aren't great through one game. Again, they couldn't really get a good push against Miami, Ohio. They couldn't pass protect against Miami, Ohio. It was a lot of misdirection on offense, and that's fine. That's good. I think they need some of that. You shouldn't be relying on that to run the ball in Miami, Ohio. You should be able to just push those guys back and dominate them and impose your will. And that's what Jesse said. That's what Zach said. That's not me having unrealistic expectations. I asked Jesse last week and the week before, what's the one thing you need to see? Bill asked him the same thing. He said, we need to get a good put. I want it to look like a Big Ten team versus a MAC team. And they couldn't do it. So I know that Luke Fickell now has realized, this is a grown-ass man league. All right, good. So we're thinking along the right lines. I've yet to see whether he can actually build a team and deploy a team that's built on that idea. So that's the next step. And again, this is probably all happening 2 years too late. The last 2 years really were a massive waste, right? Trying to accomplish something that obviously wasn't the correct thing to try to accomplish. 608-321-1670. More of your calls. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Man, I was ready to go with a couple of Packers questions, but we got a couple of days before those guys are in action. Pete is fired up about the Badgers. And I tell you what, it's not often that you see Monona United, but the way Pete and the way Dave talk about Luke Fickell, man, those guys could have a cup of coffee and have no problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
Inevitable.
They're not so different, Pete and Dave. They really aren't.
Grant, here's what I need, right? I need reporters, I need everybody to stop talking about how nice of a guy all of these coaches are, right?
Okay.
If you're talking about Blazek, the O-line coach, all we hear is all these gushing things, man. He's the nicest guy. And you see him smile, his cute little smile on the football page. He's the nicest guy, man. He's a killer, man. He's just the nicest guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, can he coach up a player to execute a basic run block? Like, can he get his football players to do football? Like, that's kind of what I care about more than, like, how the reporters, like, get along with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we heard all
the reporters. Oh, so you're calling out the
coach.
reporters now. You're not talking about players. It's the reporters who you have a beef with, Vagabond John.
Well, I just need the articles to stop being about how nice the coaches are.
Sure.
And how, on the recruiting trail, man, all you hear from these recruits, man, they were on campus, and all they could talk about is how well they got along with the coaches. And I'm like, do these guys know anything about football? Because I watched that game, and we talked a little bit about it last week, and I was talking about it with some coworkers across the country looking at college football. Grant, Florida State rebuilt their roster almost 100% from the portal in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Luke Fickell doesn't have the excuse of, I need to wait for my guy,
Yeah.
right? We saw them just take down Alabama, a team we're playing in 2 weeks, with a roster entirely built from the portal. So
Yeah.
what's the next excuse, right? Why are you bringing in a tackle, right? They recruited this guy that's starting at left tackle now. They brought him in specifically. They hand-plucked him from the portal, and there's plenty of talent out there.
They
see all the other
did.
teams
To
going.
be fair to the Badgers, though, they're not exactly picking from a loaded deck. It was late in the cycle. It's not like they could have their pick of any left tackle in the world. They were behind the 8 ball. Like they were never going to get a stud superstar left tackle. How they coach him up and how they deploy him, like I hope that he looks better as the year goes along. I'd like to think that Big Ten coaching, where'd he come from? Western Michigan, Central Michigan? Like the chip was Central Michigan,
Somewhere.
I think. Like, yeah, who cares?
We call it, yeah.
I'd like to think that AJ Blazek and company can coach him up, and I want to see him look better as the year goes on. But let's not act like they had their pick of every left tackle in the country. That's a little unfair. But other than that, I agree with your sentiment for sure.
Well, yeah, and it's not every left tackle in the country, but there were other options, right? There were other guys maybe same caliber. And can you evaluate? So when we're talking about Luke Fickell, this is the point I wanted to get to, and then I'll let you get to the rest of the callers. But
sure,
when you think about recruiting in the portal era, the reason we got rid of a coach, right? The reason why we paid $11 million to have a guy with a 73% winning percentage not coach, right? So, he's not ready for the portal era. We need a guy that can, recruit from the portal. This is the portal era. You don't get the excuse of, his high school recruiting looks good. That doesn't mean squat.
Yeah.
Half those guys are never going to dress up in red and white, right? How does he recruit out of the portal? Can they identify talent quickly? Can they get them on campus? And can they coach them up to execute a game plan? That's what matters. Not everybody's built for it, and we need to see in the next couple of weeks can these guys pull it together. So,
well, it's weird, Vagabond John, and I appreciate the call. There's 2 of you on hold. I promise I'm going to get to you. Give me 2 minutes to bounce off some of the things that John just said. So it feels like Luke Fickell is slowly chasing what Paul Christ and what his predecessors were. Like Luke Fickell was brought in as an outsider, which was not, not everybody's favorite thing. I think people real close to the program, alumni, donors, boosters, I don't know if I like that. I think a lot of us were like, wow, I never thought the Badgers would be able to get Luke Fickell if he was a free agent. And, how many schools would line up? This is a pretty good get. And as I've listened to Luke Fickell over the last couple of years, the things that we've heard, he slowly said, well, look, we don't want to be a transfer portal school. We want to be a school that recruits talent in state, right? He talked about building a wall. We want to be a team that recruits and develops our own talent, although they haven't been able to do that. But he's basically talked about like, I want to do what my predecessor did. And now with defense as well, or with offense with Jeff Grimes, I should say, like, he's like, we want to be a physical smash mouth. So I just hear Luke Fickell talking about how he's trying to get to where the last guy was, when I don't know if that was the idea. To Vagabond John's point, like, I think Luke Fickell was brought in because he was a more modern, theoretically, coach, better prepared to deal with the dynamics of college football than maybe Paul Christ was. But now when I listen to Luke Fickell talk about all these things, he's clearly describing that his goal is to be traditional Wisconsin football, which is what was jettisoned. And I didn't really blame him at the time because it wasn't going great. I'm not going to revise history. I just, to Vagabond John's point, I think it's a good one. I thought Luke Fickell was brought in to do XYZ, and now I hear him talk about how he no longer wants to do XYZ. So I totally get that frustration. All right, 2 of you on hold. I promise I'll get to you both. First caller, 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, it's Q.
Hey, Q.
Before we get far removed from the trade. I just wanted to hear your take on comparing the legacy of Jerry Jones to that of one Mark Attanasio.
Mark Attanasio?
Yeah.
Why?
I just, we've been bashing Jerry for weeks, even before this trade happened. And then, but everybody puts Mark A on this, pedestal. And I from my perspective, Jerry Jones is a self-made billionaire. He has 3 Super Bowl championships to his name, and he hires.
So I get what you're saying, Q. Your phone absolutely stinks. I get what you're saying. Do you really want me to do this, Q? I put a pin in this. I'll circle back to this after the other break because we can talk more about the Brewers. I don't think many people are exalting Mark Attanasio. I think some people say he's done a pretty good job considering his resources and what he's been given. I think most of the Brewers fan base thinks he sucks. So I think you're straw manning a little bit. And to say that, well, we're all making fun of Jerry Jones. Well, yeah, because Jerry Jones has flubbed some negotiations and he overpaid for Dak and he overpaid for CD and he traded Mike at a time where he isn't really ideal. So I don't see the connection, Q. I think you always want to tear down Mark Attanasio, and in doing so, you have to always claim that everyone else loves him so much. And that's not true. You're just sitting a straw man out in the field and just beating it with a bat. 608-321-1670. One more call, and then we'll take a break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Father Grant, how you survived the Los Angeles, Montana.
I did, and the walking boot is now off, hopefully for good, Rico. I did survive. I'm going to see you maybe a couple of times in the next few weeks. I got a broadcast at the beer house. We're going to be at Flipside for a full day. I better see you tooling around down there somewhere.
All right, I will stop by and say hello.
Thank you. I appreciate that. What's up?
No, hey, listen, I got to tell you, last week before the fireworks happened, I was going to bust your chops about always going on vacation when all the fantastic, amazing sports stuff goes off, and you're always on vacation, slacking off like usual. But, however, there was nothing more amusing than Friday driving around listening to you on the radio and hearing you basically almost losing your mind.
Mm-hmm.
I censored myself. When you heard about Micah Parsons, I found that I'm like, oh, he got himself a big story while he's on the air.
It was pretty great. Bill always gets the breaking news. Breaking news never happens during the morning show. Typically, it always happens just after 10. I never get anything at 4 o'clock, so it was kind of cool to react. I mean, you don't think I'm overreacting, right? This move is
no.
Look, I'm not telling you the Packers. This happened when the Bucks got Damian Lillard, and everyone's like, "How many championships?" It's like, okay, geez, you realize what you're saying. You talk about multiple championships. Right. I'm not even going to say one championship, but I'll always champion my team doing something like this because they so rarely do it, and I want my team to be more aggressive at times, and I think this is a good time for it.
So. Yeah, no, absolutely. With I was kind of you kept hearing the rumors. I'm like, well, the Packers haven't done it for years, because like I said, the last time I heard was signing Reggie White. Now, mind you, this is a different situation.
It is,
but but you're getting a guy in his prime. Reggie was kind of in the middle end of his career, but he still had that. But he still had that gravitas that kind of brought people into the universe of the Green Bay Packers that turned them around.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say Micah Parsons is going to do that, but I am going to say that he's going to be a solid player unless he obviously gets hurt.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to bring up, Milwaukee Brewers, I love how you were losing it and they were doing very well while you were gone, because I'm like, oh, he's gone. He's,
What was I going to say? What was I going to say? They're great. They're really good. that would have been my show for a full week when I was gone.
I know. I mean, that's just it, and the funny thing is you come back and they start, sucking a pickle, so
bit. Yeah. Everyone's hurt.
And
they're tired.
And one more, right. But yeah, 19 games in 18 days. Come on. You got to understand those last 5 or 6 games. And they still, took 2 or 3 from the Phillies, right?
From the Blue Jays. Yeah. It was a good series. Look,
or the Blue Jays.
It's not all, Rico, I got to run. It's not all doom and gloom with the Brewers right now. They're not in free fall. I'm worried that their pitching situation could snowball, right? With every arm that gets hurt, every other remaining arm is asked to do more, which makes it more likely that they'll get hurt and so on and so forth, right? The Brewers are not in a miserable spot right now. They're holding fine with a lead in the division and a great shot at the 1 seed, which the more I think about it, it's like, man, they could have an opportunity to get multiple days off. Wouldn't that be great? So I think that's pretty important, more so than in other years. Like they're in a good spot right now. My concern is if their starting pitching doesn't perform a little bit better and their bullpen continues to get more injured instead of less injured, that this thing could snowball because every other remaining pitcher is asked to do more, which makes it more likely that they get injured and so on and so forth. We'll take a 3-minute break. I'll give you a couple Brewers thoughts on the other side, and then at 5:30, we'll do 10 or 12 minutes on the latest with Micah Parsons and the Packers. There's a lot of breaking Micah Parsons Packers news, Cowboys news earlier today. I don't care about any of it, so I'll tell you what I don't care about at 5:30. More of your calls and some closing thoughts on the Brewers next when we come back.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Everyone needs it. I think it's just, it's a grind going through these, 19 games, right? Something like that. So it's, it's a long stretch and, everyone's going to enjoy the off day.
It's Jacob Mizorowski yesterday. I want to hear a little bit more from him. I did not have a chance to see any clips from his press conference yesterday. Cone with a strong message, some strong words, Cone Roller in the first hour saying, yeah, I think Mizorowski needs to grow up a little bit. Let's quit with the Pokemon cards. Stuff like that, which based on some of his clips, they're not always received well by Brewers fans. Maybe there is some growing up that needs to happen there. A couple more comments from Miz. We'll talk about the Brewers here until 5:30. and we'll switch over to the Packers. 608-321-1670 if you have thoughts or anything you'd like to share on the Milwaukee Brewers. Q called before the break. I can't do Jerry Jones, Mark Attanasio. I wouldn't even know where to start. And even if I did, I don't know who that's for. I don't know what that, I don't know. Sorry, Q. So I can't do that. But any other calls or your commentary on the Brewers is welcome. The Brewers are in a fine spot, and I don't have the standings here in front of me, but luckily the internet is just so handy. I'll pull them up real quick. They're not in free fall. They're not collapsing. The season isn't falling apart as it stands right now in the National League. They have the best record, and they lead the Phillies by 4.5 games, who now they play for 2 more games so that you could build on that lead or that lead could get smaller. The Cubs are then behind them at 5.5, the Dodgers at 6, right? They don't hold the tiebreaker with the Cubs. They are in danger. Let's see. They swept the Phillies, so I'm not sure how the tiebreaker with the Phillies would go because this is a 3-game series, right? Again, I have the internet. I should just look in front of me, but who cares about the tiebreaker? We can worry about that if it gets closer. But these are important games, right, against the team that's chasing you for the 1 seed. And normally, I'm not like super obsessed with the 1 seed. I just kind of think you need to be a good team ready to play your best when it matters. And if you can do that, I think you can make a World Series or win a Super Bowl or win an NBA Finals, kind of no matter the path, because you're going to have to play multiple good teams and win multiple games or multiple series in a row anyways. So it is my belief that if you are a team of destiny that's made of the right stuff and prepared to step up and make big plays when big plays are required, I don't think seeding is going to prevent you from accomplishing your goals. It's certainly easier to have a bye, although a bye can hurt you as well. All this to say, I'm not super obsessed with the seeding, whether the Brewers are the 1 or the 2 or whether you got to be a wild card. Certainly some options are more preferable to others, but I don't think it's the end of the world. It's not something, put it this way. How many times have you heard me talk about the potential 1 seed in the first round bye? How many times have you heard me on the show over the summer say, man, wouldn't it be great to get that first round bye? They need that first round bye. I seriously don't think I brought it up once. It's just not something that, like, I don't have it on the tippy top of my list. Just the way that I view the playoffs. Either you're made of the right stuff and you're ready to rock and roll, or you're not. And I would argue the Brewers maybe have been made of the right stuff the last couple of years, but when the lights come off, they're just not ready to rock and roll. And I don't think that's the fault of seeding or any format or anything like that. They've won the division. They've been a wild card. They haven't been able to do it. I don't think that's the fault of the seeding. But this Brewers team is maybe a team for which we could focus on the 1 seed a little bit more, because this team needs, they need time off. They need to get their bullpen healthy. They need to get their starters, I think, rested, but also just refreshed. I think Miz is probably grinding a little bit. I think Woodruff is probably grinding since coming back. Some of that initial excitement and momentum just being back in the majors has probably worn off a little bit. And now he's fighting it a little bit. Quintana is whatever, I guess. But the bullpen is banged up and those guys are overworked. And as the team gets more banged up, they'll get more overworked. And it's a cycle that's really hard to get out of unless you have extended time off, which you don't in a baseball season, unless you don't have to play in the first round. This might be the year where a first round bye and legitimate time off is actually really, really beneficial for this team. Just to give Uribe, McGill, if he's able to get back, Koenig, Mears, right, to get these guys a little breathing room to be reset so they can actually spin it in the playoffs, because they're going to need to be able to spin it at a level higher than they have been. Like, Mears isn't missing bats. I need to look up some splits for Nick Mears, because there are some things that the eye test is telling me with Nick Mears that I want to make, before I go spewing, I want to make sure that I actually corroborate that with some stats. But you can tell that Uribe's just been worked, and McGill, before he went down, had been worked. Koenig's been worked, and somehow he's the only one guy throwing pretty darn well right now. Miller's now probably done for the year. He might be just done, period, based on how that went yesterday. But the first round bye for this team might be important in a way where typically, again, I don't really care about first round buys. Just think if you're made of the right stuff and you're ready to rock and roll, it doesn't really matter. Jacob Mizrowski here talking about how the Brewers are still in a good spot. A little bit more from Miz yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a good spot. We're hitting, but I think it's going to be fun to watch, and in the locker room, it's going to be a lot of fun being in here.
I don't know what to do with that. Here's Jacob Mizrowski talking about hitting a roadblock in the middle innings.
I think it's just baseball. I think it's just.
I don't really want to listen to the rest of that. I think that's just baseball. Hey, dumbass, you walk the bases loaded like it's your day job. That's not baseball. But I guess we'll listen to the other 22 seconds of this.
I think it's just baseball. I think it's just, it's the third time through the lineup, and they're major league hitters. I mean, it's Kyle Schwarber, and it's the guys that have been around forever. It's baseball. I mean, you can't expect to go perfect every game and go out there and give up one run, and now everyone's like, oh, what's happening? But it's baseball.
You didn't give up one run though. You gave. You see my frustration with that line of thinking? It's baseball, third time through the order. That's not baseball. Saying that's baseball is, look, the batted ball luck is tough. Hit a little dribbler up the third base line. What do you want me to do? That's not what that is. Well, you give up one run and everyone loses their mind. Bro, you didn't give up one run. If the solo shot was all he had surrendered yesterday, I'd be thrilled. You know me, that expression gets my back up. That's baseball.
I think it's just baseball.
That's not just baseball, man. That's not just his first inning against the Cubs a couple weeks ago. That was just baseball. Some tough batted ball luck. It's not baseball when you can't find the zone and you're getting hit. Well, it's the third time through the order. Yeah, that happens in every baseball game. It's not some fluke occurrence. Oh, Kyle Schwarber's up again? What do you mean? Yeah, that's how it works, dude. 608-321-1670. We'll take a call here, and then we'll circle back to the Packers after our next break. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
This is Louie in Eau Claire.
Hey, what's going on, Louie?
Hey, Grant. So with the expanded rosters, there's now, going into yesterday, there's 28 active positions available. 14 of them are Brewers pitchers, and somehow Chad Patrick is not one of them. So what could you possibly do with a guy who can actually, who's not outstanding, but pretty good, pretty solid, that can eat up some innings? So when Wizarowski does go 3 2/3, or when Woodruff doesn't have it, or the one time you really need Quintana to go deep in the game, he doesn't.
Yeah.
Why aren't they kind of teaming up, kind of a Tobias Myers with a Brandon Woodruff and a Wizarowski with a Chad Patrick, something along those lines? Because bringing out Nick Mears every time, every game, is not working.
No, I would agree.
And
it's tough for them to line up piggybacks right now, Louie, because like if you could bank on Freddie going 6 every time, and you could bank on Quintana to go at least 5 every time, okay, well then we could line up. The problem is none of these starters, minus Freddie the other day, are going deep. You know what I mean? Like Tobias Myers can't pitch every day. Aaron Ashby, although Murphy's trying his hardest, can't pitch every day. They missed DL Hall too. Like that's another thing. DL Hall got hurt and we all didn't notice because he's usually hurt, but like they're feeling that absence too, because he was basically a lesser version, a second version of Aaron Ashby who could help them bridge those middle innings.
Yeah, it's the Brewers are going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to hold on for the division and for the first seed. I don't know that it's probably going to happen, but it's not going to do any good when you get there if all your arms are tired and shot. So they got to figure this out now and figure out the solution quickly.
Yeah, they do. It starts with getting healthy and their starters going deeper into games. If that just happens, you get an extra inning out of your starter every night. And that'll make a big difference. They don't need to reinvent the way they're playing baseball. They just need a little bit more from each of those starting pitchers. Get healthy in the bullpen where it's possible. It's pretty hard to do on the fly, right? But yeah, they missed DL Hall. Tobias Myers has actually been okay. It's just he can't piggyback every single starter every single day, which seemingly is what they've needed. All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back on the other side. I want to talk about the Packers, including one of the best calls that you'll ever hear. Doug from Luxembourg balled out on Bill's show earlier today. I cut the sound. We'll listen to that, on the other side of this break. As we come back, we'll talk about the latest on Micah Parsons.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
At the very least, what I'm looking for out of Michael Parsons is the Packers have the lead. We're in the fourth quarter, and there's maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes left in the game. And it's like Dandy Don says, turn out the lights, the party's over. Instead of wondering if we're going to hang on to this lead or lose it. That's what his main job is here, so that's what I'm looking for.
Elite. Doug is the best. So that's Doug in Luxembourg. If you're like, should I know who this is? No, not unless you're a listener to the Bill Michaels Show. Doug calls, I don't know, once, twice a week. I just love his voice. Like if you were to do an SNL skit or some sitcom or whatever about people who call sports talk radio shows, especially around Green Bay. Like, it was always a bit growing up. I joke with my dad about people who call Packers OT. And this is back when, like, who would have been hosting it when I was this age? Matzik and Tauscher, probably. And people would call in, and they've been in the bag for how many hours they've been drinking. You just say ridiculous things like, oh, the Rodgers guy, he's no good. Put the other guy in. You just call in and say, but Doug is, first of all, I love this take because I don't know, unless Doug cooked this up by himself. I've been the one who's saying this. Let's listen to this one more time. This is Micah Parsons' utility for the Packers, perfectly described and communicated as only Doug in Luxembourg can communicate it.
At the very least, what I'm looking for out of Michael Parsons is the Packers have the lead. We're in the fourth quarter, and there's maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes left in the game. And it's like Dandy Don says, turn out the lights, the party's over. Instead of wondering if we're going to hang on to this lead or lose it. That's what his main job is here, So that's what I'm looking for.
I love Doug so much. That's what I'm looking for. When Doug calls in, the material is secondary. I just like listening to him cook. That is why they brought in Micah Parsons. And this is something that we talked about. It would have been between last Thursday and Friday, right? The trade happened on Thursday. Press conferences were Friday. So we would have talked about this 2 days last week before the holiday weekend, where it's like, I think their defense is full of good players. They're not asking Micah Parsons to come in and save the defense. They're asking him to come in and be the final piece. Not the final pieces and put us over the top and win us a Super Bowl, although they hope, and I certainly hope that's the result, right? We have a group of linebackers we really like, and Edgerrin Cooper we really like. We have a group of safeties that we really like. We have a group of defensive linemen who we think are solid players. None of those players in any of those position groups have blossomed into bona fide game-changing superstars, the way that Fred Warner did for San Francisco or Bosa did. Now, he was a top 5 pick, so a little different, but Lucas Van Ness was a top 15 pick, right? You pick a guy at that position, at that spot, your hope is stud number 1 pass rusher. Same with Rashawn Gary. And basically what they've built outside of Xavier McKinney, who they signed, is a defense of very solid players, which works if there's 1 or 2 guys to make it all work. The straw that stirs the proverbial drink, if you will. And Micah Parsons is that guy. And the way that manifests is not by giving up 30 points per game versus 21 points per game. That doesn't manifest in, well, last year we were 15th in DVOA and now we'll be 5th. I would imagine some of the big picture defensive stats for the Packers will be rather similar from last year to this year. I don't know that I don't think they're going to go from a good defense, which they were, to the best defense in football. I think you're going to see Micah Parsons impact more in individual moments. And that's what Doug is explaining. And that's what I've told you mostly about Jordan Love. When we're talking about, how Jordan Love can grow from his first 2 years to this year, I keep giving you this hypothetical situation of 6 minutes, you're up by 4, the defense just forced a punt, you now have the ball with an opportunity to drive, to eat a ton of clock, and to go up 2 scores. Can you do it? That's the situation that separates the big-time quarterbacks from the lesser quarterbacks, right? Execution in big-time moments when it's needed. It's the same thing on the defense. The Packers last year, I think the second Vikings game is a brilliant example of what the Packers lacked defensively last year. If you go back and watch, especially in the first half before the game kind of slid off the rails, before then it slid back onto the rails, there were a couple of moments in that game where they had the Vikings exactly where you'd want them. They stopped the run on 1st and 2nd down, or they allowed a short completion on 1st or 2nd down. Now it's 3rd and 8, obvious passing situation, and you hope that one of your pass rushers can go out and make a play on the drive, right? That's kind of how you do it defensively in 2025. That's modern football. We're going to hang in there on 1st and 2nd down, force enough 3rd and obvious passing situations, and just hope we can get home on one of them. And last year, I think that was a good strategy for the Packers defense that had made big strides, mostly because they added Xavier McKinney, right? Like, it'll make a big difference. But you saw in all of those 3rd down and 8, 3rd down and 9, 3rd down and 7 situations, Sam Darnold drops back, hits the back of the pocket, and just nothing. Right? You can only scheme up so many pressures. You can only scheme up, like, Minnesota's offensive line is excellent. Especially, it was outstanding before Darisaw got hurt, but even after, right? They just never really recovered, even though they traded for Robinson. Those are the situations that you employ Micah Parsons for. That's why Micah Parsons is here. Not to take a defense that was, I'm just making up numbers, 14th in DVOA to 5th, or to take a defense that gave up 30 points a game to 21 points a game. You don't add Micah Parsons to make a seismic shift in the big picture counting stats. It's 2 or 3 moments in every game where you need a guy to make a play. That's why you go get Micah Parsons. Clay Matthews in 2011 putting his helmet on the ball and punching the ball out from, was it Rashard Mendenhall? Like, that's the play. That's the one right there. That type of play. Or Julius Peppers with some strip sacks, for example, in 2014. Like, that's why you bring in Micah Parsons. And the price is right, and the age is right, and he fits your timeline, and all of the things. I woke up this morning, and there was a news story at ESPN, and it was Jeremy Fowler and others. I don't remember. Maybe Don Van Natta, I think, was the other one. And it was highlighting this process, what really happened between David Mulligetta, Micah Parsons' agent at Athletes First, and Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, right, over the last couple of months. What really happened? And I read it in bed, and it took me, 10 minutes. And then I got to the end and realized I didn't care about any of that. Like, Mulligetta was on First Take today describing, well, we thought it was a negotiation, and they thought, and I just don't care about any of this. None of this is relative. None of this is pertinent, let's say, to the actual football that he's going to play and the actual things that Green Bay is going through. Now it's just like publicity for an agent who, like, agents don't have to worry about publicity because they have people like Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter who are breaking this news, who give them a little good publicity, right? By announcing certain numbers or certain things or promoting this part of this contract has never been done before. A groundbreaking new deal, right? How often do you say that? Do you think that's because Adam Schefter is digging through mountains of case law and dozens of contracts to find, has this ever been done before? No, the agent supplies them with that information, and Schefter takes it in exchange for getting to break the news. And I'm not slandering Schefter here. Like, that's just how the business works. That's what it is to be an insider. You trade information for, a little PR spin. I just don't care about it. Mulligetta being on First Take, the Jerry Fowler, Don Van Natta story from earlier today. I don't care what Jerry Jones thought. I don't care what Stephen Jones thought once upon a time, or what. I guess I just don't care. So that did nothing for me today. When I saw the story, I'm like, ooh, maybe this will be in the show later. And then I read it, and I'm like, I've never cared about anything less. We'll take a call here, then we'll take our final break. A couple of Wisconsin things that I want to discuss in the last segment. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Eric on I-90.
Eric, good evening. I was just talking about your Vikings. Hell of an O-line last year.
Yeah, I think they've gotten better.
Yeah, they added, who'd they draft from Ohio State again? I can't remember. Not important. It's fine.
Yeah, I think his name is Tom. Really great offensive lineman.
That's it. Yeah, that's exactly right. Why couldn't I think of that? I think you're right.
Why couldn't you think of that? Just another great offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't talk about fantasy, but my question relates to that because I have Jared Goff as my quarterback, and you can laugh all you want, but that's what I ended up with. Now, just like you said, is Jared Goff could still have a really good game against Packer. He kind of owned them last year, a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? And then Micah Parsons can still get his game stopper, but Jared Goff can still have a good game.
Well, so that's the thing. Micah Parsons isn't going to make it so Goff sucks or Darnold or now J.J. McCarthy sucks. It's on a big third down in the second quarter, on a third down and a fourth down. You're right. It's 2 or 3 plays. Eric, you watch enough football, these games are super close, and they normally come down. They're decided by a small handful of plays, a third down or a fourth down. Those are the moments. That's not going to take Jared Goff from throwing from 300 yards to 100 yards. It's 1 or 2 plays that decide the result, not necessarily the fantasy stats. You know what I mean?
Right. Both can be true.
Yes. As we say often in sports radio, that's used very commonly. Yes.
Well, that's all I really had to say. Is Parsons going to start, or
looks like he's going to play?
Does he need a shot in the back? Does he need a shot in his back? What's the injury status there?
He needed. I'm not doing. And Eric, I'm not throwing this back in your face. I appreciate the call. I always enjoy our chats. I'm not going to pour through an Adam Schefter. It's the L5. I don't know. He got an epidural. I was reading earlier today that's pretty common. Players will do it under the guide of a physician with an X-ray or with probably not an X-ray, but what's the jelly? Looks like a vibrator. What ultrasound? Yes, thank you. I guess it's common, although maybe my feed is curated to show me positive Packers things, probably, which means I'm seeing. I don't know. He's going to play in week 1. I don't know how much. He's number 1 on the depth chart, if that means anything to you. So that's the latest on Micah Parsons and his back at this time, at least the amount I care about it, which today is very little. Same with his contract. When we come back, a couple of Wisconsin things that I noticed on social media over the weekend that I'd like to discuss as we conclude. One relating to an incident at a boat landing that I saw on Facebook, and another, I have thoughts on a certain county that I would like to share with you, a county that I spend a good amount of time in. So we'll talk about that next as we wrap up the Wisco Sports Show.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Zone Blitz pregame bash is back. Every Wisconsin home game 2 hours before kickoff at the Blue Moon Bar and Grill. And this year, do I have something special for you? It's a perfect snack for game day or any day. Wenzel's Farm Pro Snack Sticks. Come see me and I'll hand you 16 grams of protein to fuel you through the day. Wenzel's Farm offers that and so much more, crafted in small batches using premium cuts of meat, perfectly seasoned, and naturally hardwood smoked. Check out wenzelsfarm.com. Made by pros for pros.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Final segment of the Wisco Sports Show. Our presenting sponsors, Road America, in on the river. Appreciative of them both. Tomorrow, Jesse Temple will join us. We'll have a game to talk about. We'll have some injury situations to talk about. That's how you draw it up. That's what you dream of when you have a expert guest, right? Housekeeping things, injuries. How's this looking? What did Luke Fickle have to say? What'd you see from the game? What are you thinking about the next opponent? So it'll be nice. Jesse Temple from Badger Connect will be on tomorrow. So I saw a couple of things over the weekend that I bookmarked, and I'm like, this could make for good show fodder. Last 10 minutes of an hour type of thing. So one of the only reasons I still use Facebook is to see what's going on with friends and family. But I found that friends and family, nobody really posts that much on Facebook anymore. The big reason I use Facebook is because of the groups. Very entertaining because people will go off in those. They won't post anything on their profile, but my God, and like the Cross Plains buy or sell page, that you'd be bewildered by what you see. So I'm in a lot of Lake Country groups, Lake Country 411s. We're talking about like the Pewaukee, Oconomowoc area. So I threw this post up on the live stream if you're watching YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, or on the app, the Wisco Sports Zone app. I couldn't believe this. So this is what someone posted. They posted an AI image of a boat landing that's overrun with cars and boats because, well, it's 2025. And this is what the post said. I want to know what happened to, I guess, to lead to a rant like this. This is what the post says. So I'll read it for you, but I'll throw it up on the live stream too. This is a rough AI depiction of the Pewaukee Lake boat launch today. A couple of suggestions, just totally optional, trying to help. Here's some bullet points. If it takes you 10 plus minutes to launch or recover your boat, a holiday weekend might not be the best time for you. Parentheses, you get a pass if something is broke. We understand. Bust out another 1,000, which is, of course, what boat stands for. New bullet point. Practice backing a trailer. The Walmart parking lot at 9 p.m. is much more convenient and stress-free compared to the Pewaukee boat launch at noon or 5 p.m. on a holiday. This is very targeted. The next bullet point. Teach your significant other how to drive the boat. Everyone is staring at them holding the dock rope for 12 minutes while you park and walk back to the launch. Next bullet point. Parentheses. See last bullet. If a member of your party is holding the boat, knees to chest, get some pep in your step, which is actually a great point. Like, run to your car, buddy. This is the last bullet point. In 2024, 2025 or 26, I assume you mean, I will be launching the Lake Country Boat Launch Services LLC as your official trailer backer-upper for $20 or a case of beer. I got you covered for launch and recovery for one day. Otherwise, a bottle of E.H. Taylor Eagle Rare or $50 gets you a week pass. What I want to know, and this is why I bookmarked it, and maybe I can do some investigative journalism on Facebook, or who knows? I know some people, so maybe I'll reach out. What happened at the Pewaukee boat landing that was so bad yesterday that people are passively aggressive, just aggressively calling out their friends and neighbors on a Facebook page, which is, by the way, where it should happen because it's very entertaining. I just, now I need to know what happened on Lake Pewaukee yesterday. This reminds me of once upon a time at church, which, by the way, this problem has not gotten better. Crying babies at church. And I remember our priest softly suggesting, and I think he thought he was softly suggesting, it came off a certain way, that, we do have a cry room for the babies, kind of putting everyone on blast. That's what this Facebook post is. This is like, teach your significant other how to drive the boat. Everyone is staring at them holding the dock rope for 12 minutes while you park and walk back to the launch. See last bullet. If a member of your party is holding the boat, knees to chest, get some pep in your step. These are so good. Practice backing a trailer. The Walmart parking lot at 9 p.m. is much more convenient and stress-free compared to the Pewaukee boat launch at noon or 5 p.m. on a holiday. And the best, of course, is the first one. If it takes you 10 plus minutes to launch or recover your boat, a holiday weekend might not be the best time for you. Basically saying, hey, if you suck at loading a trailer, stick to a Tuesday night in June. Labor Day ain't for you, buddy. Stay off Lake Pewaukee. I have questions. So maybe I'll reach out to some people. Maybe I'll look further. Maybe I'll read some comments. Maybe you need to do some investigative journalism. That post is not created if the boat launch isn't complete and total utter chaos to the point where like people are waiting more than an hour to take out their boat. Get a slip, I guess. If you want to avoid that stuff, get a slip at the marina. Buy a place on the lake where you can store your boat. I want to know what happened at that boat launch over the weekend. So I'm going to do some investigative journalism tonight. The Brewers are off. So enjoy your evening. We'll be back tomorrow at 4 to continue all of this. Jesse Temple will be here. I like college football talk. We'll keep that rolling. And, of course, the latest on the Packers and Micah Parsons as well. Have a great night. Thank you for listening always.